All right, so we have the FIDE Women's Grand Swiss 2023. Okay, we're just looking at the we are looking at the players. So we have former women's world champions would be Muzuchik from Ukraine, I think, and then we have where is she? Then we have Maria, her sister. Where are the other ones? I thought I saw near the top. Who are the other world champions? They're not there. Maybe they went down a little bit. Because I thought I saw, well, you could see the main players right here, for example, Kostanuk, former champion. Yeah, Mizuchuk, Kostanuk. I thought I saw one. Well, Gorchkina, she's one of the top ones too in tan, top women players. And so, yeah, who was falling behind? Yeah, actually, her sister Maria is falling behind. She's on board 8. Wagner's really strong too. Gorchkina. Yeah, Gorchkina's having a tough time. She's on board 9. So let's see. Let's go to this. This one is 10. So she's, I think, the top seed. This is an interesting game. Let's see. What's the live position? Hold on. Oops. So we have, yeah, very interesting position with the doubled pawns, the G file pressure. Guys. So yeah, the rook was attacking B2. And she played B3 to stop it. I mean, so she's fine with an endgame here. I don't know. What do you guys think? The doubled pawns, white has a little bit of a bigger center. Computer's saying, I'm going to take off the computer. It's saying even. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think she has any chances to press here, 10? Pretty even, right? But we could say imbalances would be bishop against knight, right? And then pawn structure is very different. And white's king is castled, black's is not. So white has more space in the center, but black is compact, but has more central pawns. But, you know, they're inflexible, right? The double pawns. But because of the double pawns, again, she has the G file pressure, and she took B takes C6. So there's a half open G file, half open B file. Not that she can really do much with it. She might have like rook B4 and things like that. But it looks like pretty hard for anyone to make progress here, right? Trade down queens, maybe. Trade off some pieces. Let's see if there's one that's a little more exciting. This one's interesting. She's pressing a little more. Looks like Mizuchik, former champion, against a much lower rated player. Let's see how she started this game. So G6, so we have, let me move this off a little bit. So we have E6, have modern defense. She's just naturally bringing her pieces to the center. B5. This is an interesting way to play A6 and B5. Tends to actually score pretty. I'll go back over here. See, B5 is the main move. You got 38% for black in master games versus 34%. So it doesn't score too badly. Wait, A6 is actually the main move there. So it's very interesting. The only thing is that black is extending a little bit. So potentially overextending. I think they striking him with A4. So she just suddenly goes H4 for the king side. H6. Kind of like a hippo type thing, but with B5 instead of B6. So she gains her space with E5. E6, keeping it tight. And now you see the strike with A4. Bypass. But now this is where it's interesting. Where there's a square that black can take in the center. What square would they be going for? So bishop B7, first striking. This actually begins the strike on the white squares. Okay, bishop guards the knight. Knight E7. So what's the square you think black is fighting for? 1 second. Close the door.
It looks like D5.
Sorry, Lynn, which one are you looking at?
I said it may be D5.
Exactly, that's it, D5. So you see with the pawn push to B4, it's all part of a strategy, right? By pushing B4, you're chasing the knight away from the center, well, from the D5 square, right? So they end up landing on E4, but you know, black goes E6 and bishop E7 and knight E7. So we're gonna see that really fighting for control, and you're kicking the knight out, right? So now black gets pretty nice control. And here's another thing. It's a little harder to play C4 to chase it away because you could take en passant. I mean, you can try it, but you take en passant. It's even worse if you get him to play B3, right? You would love it if they go B3 because then if you go C4, you take en passant, you get the C pawn, but also they definitely can't take back. See now, for example, if you go, oh, she does go c4, actually. This is actually what just happened. I saw this right up to this point. This just happened. So queen e7, she goes for c4. The former women's world champion. So she knows she has to try. Takes, knight d7. And now she can play c4 whenever she wants, but she's not, she wants to prepare it first, right? But she's beginning to open up lines. It's like, well, if you don't do it, what are you supposed to do with white, right? You can play h5 maybe. You can probe with the 8. We can probe with the wing. It's interesting how she's using her wing pawns. You could kind of gain some space with a5, squeeze them a little bit, fix this a pawn in place to target later. You can go h5 and probe over here, provoking g5, and try to open things up a little bit. I mean, she could, but she has those in reserve on tap. She could do those whenever she wants. But so c4 is played. Like I said, the worst version, like let's just say hypothetically they went b3. Let's say knight g7. So now you definitely don't want to go c4 because the en passant is very good for black, right? First of all, well, they currently hold the pawn. White can go win it back. But the main problem, though, is that they can't get c4 in. There's no way to dislodge the knight. Very hard to dislodge the knight, right? So you can see that because they would play after playing b3, they don't get to take back with the pawns. It's very important to leave your pawn on b2. So when c4 is played, take en passant, take back. And you see how then she can play c4. But here's what she does. She goes bishop d2 first. First of all, she doesn't let the knight take it. She's preserving the bishops with the open game, right? As it's opening. But what do you think she's going to, why do you think she inserts this preparatory, why is it a preparatory move to go bishop d2 before c4? Why do you think it might be good? So now, this one. What do you think she wants next? And why is it better than immediate c4? What do you guys think? So like, okay, for example, let's say black castles, for instance. Why is c4 better now than before, right now? Think about what black can do. I mean, it's not a huge deal. She could take, like I said, though, she could take the bishop if she wants. And then, that could be a good bishop. She preserves her bishop. But the other possibilities, what else can the knight? It's just annoying things that the knight can do. What else can the knight do right now if you push immediately?
The knight could come down to C. No.
Where else can it go?
B4 then C2.
Well,
Oh wait, the queen's
Were you
there.
looking at, Lynn, you were looking at c3?
no.
How about b4? Now you could go to b4 if you want. So that becomes a weak square for the knight, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, the bishop would probably want to preserve itself. But then you could anchor it in with a5. That's pretty annoying, right? You could do it, but like, I wouldn't recommend it. Why would you want the knight to be there? Not the end of the world, but still, it's like, it's just, keeping white's pieces a little bit restricted. Might be more tactical possibilities. And this is fixed in place. Maybe you just go here and start trying to win this pawn. Oh, knight b6 as well. Right? Trying to just probably win the a pawn. And then you have the knight nearby to help you push the pawn later. So you can see maybe the castle, get the rooks over here. Black could be doing very well on the queen side. So she's like, I don't need that. So it seems like to me, it looks like it's dual purpose. It's just restrictive, but it's restricting the knight and it's also preserving your bishop because it's not a great bishop now. But imagine, let's say you get c4 in. Then you want to go like maybe bishop out somewhere, maybe bishop here and try to win their pawn. Or maybe bishop c3 and support your center. So you can imagine this bishop doing that. It's also aiming at h6. Maybe you want to move it back later and get a queen and bishop battery on h6 and h5 or start pressing on the king side. So you see this gives you a lot of ideas now, a lot of possibilities. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And this is our live position. They both have about the same amount of time, a little under 50 minutes left. I think they had 90 minutes to start. I think it was 90-30. Let's see. 90 minutes for 40 moves, followed by 30 minutes for the rest of the game. And there's a 30-second increment throughout. So that's useful though. After 40 moves, you're going to get your extra 30 minutes. So, did she move? She just took. Yeah, she just took on e5. So that's interesting. What's going on? Is she winning a pawn? Maybe white gave it up hoping for compensation. So what was the last move? She just went for c4. So basically there was pressure already on e5, right? There were two attackers on e5, bishop and pawn, two defenders, not on pawn. So the moment that knight d7 is played, black is signaling they want to win the e pawn, maybe making white worry about that, right? Because we have three attackers, two defenders, right? So she ends up taking it. She's like, okay, you want to preserve your bishop. Now the question is it a big deal? I mean, I think black will, if you don't do anything, black's going to go f5 and e4, right? And get that pawn rolling. So let's say that white takes back. Does black get anything, or rather, does white get anything in return for the pawn? Or do they outright win the pawn, or what happens? Let's say they take. Okay, let's say knight takes. Let's calculate from this position. So is this just winning a pawn? Is it worth it for white to give up this? Or does white have good compensation? What do you guys think? It's complicated.
Yeah, it does get complicated.
Very quickly, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have to look at this X-ray here. Could be an issue, you know? There might be, I'm not sure yet. There might be something with the X-ray of the queen. So it's kind of like maybe indirectly guarding it. Let's see. Yeah, just take a minute, calculate this. Let's say we take. Let's just say, you know, main line, just take. You have to at least know what's going to happen here, if nothing else. Okay, it's white's move now. So again, we have the looseness of the bishop here. So really the question is, if we move the knight, what happens? So what are some knight moves to consider?
For white,
Yeah, white can move the knight to various places. So they basically have a free knight move in a way, because then you open up an attack, a discovered attack on the bishop. So
right.
this is pretty forcing, because it's going to be basically okay. So assuming white takes with the pawn, question is, does black get to win it back, right? So it gets to win the pawn. Otherwise, black can just ignore it. And that's not so bad for white. You have to watch out for the pawn still. You can like move the knight and cover it. But let's say they want to win it. So they're trying to win it. Takes. Now, again, we have this kind of like, the question is there an indirect defense? Can we create a problem here with the loose bishop? Loose pieces lead to tactics usually, right? In many cases. So it's a formula, you know, loose pieces, both kings are kind of exposed, subjected to checks. So what do you think? Any good knight moves to consider? Or really anything. You have to look at all of them, whether they seem good or not. You just have to look at them. Probably not here or here, because the bishop will just take. But any other knight move, you know, is viable to look at.
There are none.
C5.
You can go to c5 or g5.
Well, you can go to C5, but
Yep. You go to
Not
C5. He takes your knight. You take the bishop, and you're hitting the rook.
You see when now it's hanging. So the idea is that the bishop's
yeah,
gonna,
I see the bishop will be hanging.
yeah. So both are, yeah. So I don't know if you're gonna win a piece for sure, but it's something. It's certainly worth it. Now this one, I don't know. I mean, they could even just ignore you and go back, say, okay, I got your piece now, and you have to move your knight, basically. They could even take, I don't know about that. Yeah, as you said, Matt, this attacks the rook. It's okay. I wouldn't play f6. That looks bad. Anyway, point is, though, that's not really anything there. They could even retreat. It's like, okay, your knight is actually hanging now that she preserves the bishop. So the question is, how about this move? You guys see, this could be very strong. So let's calculate this. I think that's why she might be justified then. Okay, bishops are both hanging. So let's say they take the knight. And Matt, you saw this. Question is, okay, so basically trade off.
Yeah.
Okay, we're still down a pawn, but this looks pretty tempting. They can't go f6 because, again, f6, you see how these are both going to hang? Can't loosen up those light squares. That's just bad. Check, and this could be check. Right, that's bad. So they won't go there. They have to deal with the rook. But then there's another problem, it seems, for black. And it's kind of, I like that tightness, you know, the fact that she preserved her bishop. She's nice and solid here. So what happens? Let's say, oh, I don't know. What's a decent move for black? It's kind of awkward here. She can't castle either because then she has to worry about this move, trying to mate on g7. Again, you push, check. That's just pretty bad, probably. You have to be actually white needs to be careful about the e file, but still, it could get bad. So let's just say, oh, I don't know. What about castles queens at? It looks very awkward, but just as an example, because the king could kind of hide, a little exposed. Rook's out now. So now is there we have to look even deeper now. Say after this position, there's at the very least white has the bishop pair, down a pawn, has the nice bishop pair. But does white have something concrete now? It's actually super complicated.
Well, if white was to push the C pawn,
Yes, that's what we have to look at exactly then. That's C pawn again. And the knight can't move, can it?
no.
I'm trying to win it, but it gets deeper. Wait. It gets very complicated again. Because see, the problem though is that they're not really going to reach the king directly, but it creates tactical possibilities for black. The fact that the king's in the middle, like you can see ideas of rook e8 if you take e6. So for example, f6, right? See, it's luring the queen away. No more. You can't stay on the fifth rank anymore, so you don't get to keep your lateral pressure,
Right.
right? And if you take with check, so good thing that black has finished their development, even though the king's a little awkward. It's not that bad, right? Kind of have coverage. It's a little, yeah, in the long run, it's awkward, like, you know, rook b1. But right now, white has to deal with this threat. So in other words, they don't have time to take, I think. See that? They take, they lose. See that?
Yeah.
They should be losing there. Well, it's like a rook and a
Well,
knight.
maybe white should just move bishop d2 to e3, attack the queen, because the queen is stagnated over
Oh,
there.
wait. Okay. So, well, first of all, we have, okay, so what was the last move? They just castled, right? We just came in, they castled. Okay, so you might have this move. Oh, they have an escape. They have an escape.
Yeah.
What is it?
F
What are they looking at?
f8, f8.
Well, oh, right. They can move the queen away immediately, and they still because you haven't hit him with c4 yet. But they actually have another nice move because look at this abandons something. This gives up something for white. What is black aiming at? I think so. Yeah, looks like
You
it's
can take the pawn, can't you?
you
And
can
it
take
lets
the
the
pawn
queen
with
trade.
check because the bishop
Yeah,
is abandoned
yeah,
the pawn. You take with check, queen has to trade. Knight
yeah.
to attack on the rook. If the rook moves takes e3, they go here. Point is 4 pieces each. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Blacks have 2 pawns. Okay, that's bad. Now it's black's move. Black can kind of do what they want. Maybe if they really want to get greedy for pawns, they could take another one. But nah, then white will take a6 or something. But I think black will just, you know, oh here, take that guy, right? Is that 3 pawns? 6 for yeah. I mean, it's pretty much winning. It's just the three pawns up. So yeah, so they can't quite go bishop e3. That's interesting. You mentioned that's a good candidate move to think about. Now, okay, so let's say what's the last move? Queen takes. So again, they can't go f6 though, probably, because then you have bishop takes g6 with check or queen takes. That's bad. Probably even just bishop takes with check. It's just really uncomfortable. And then the queen could simply move away, and then, you know, very uncomfortable for the black king now. So, but again, watch out for this one, because whenever you do this, there's the rook e8 threat. So you got to be real cautious about that. Anyway, very tactical. So what we're looking at now is castle queen side, c4 trying to win the knight. But then there's f6. So the point is, you see the queen wants to keep lateral pressure to make the pin work, right? They can win the knight. So black's like, nope, not going to happen. Make your queen go off with check, but there's still no time to take the knight because so it buys black a move. Does that make sense? Because black is fully mobilized, white still needs to castle. And black still has some stuff going. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now what? I mean, you can't take. So now you have to castle, let's say. Maybe they could still boot the queen. They don't even need to, but they could just move the knight. Yeah, oh, there's that b4 square again. There it is. Oh, wait, now they're the one with the discovery on here, right? You can also go like this. So bishop would have to take and then take. Oh, no, my bad. Because now it's guarded. Nope, does not work. We can go to b6, we can go to b4. Well, if you go to b6, now you're actually threatening the bishop, you gain a tempo. And black is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, black 3. We're actually even. Oh, that's annoying. Yeah, I mean, I think the point is black is not losing the piece though. Like you can get attacked and, challenge the queen or something like that. And it's probably, what does it say? Say, oh wait, no, white's better. What's going on? Can verify that for us. Takes. Oh, because g6 hangs. Interesting. But I feel like black was okay here. Maybe not. What's the best line? Let's see. So let's say c4 is tried. Black has to have something here. Oh, that's crazy. You don't even, you break the pin by hanging your queen. I didn't even look at that. You guys see that?
Yes.
What's going to happen when the queen takes?
The knight is gonna take the bishop and check the king.
And then white actually loses a piece. They scoop up the bishop and recapture. So that's nice. So you actually hang your queen. I didn't even look at that. So therefore the whole thing fails. For white. Meaning black may be able to get away with taking. So I'm sure obviously they're looking at this. Can I take back? Can black get away with this? Looks like they can. Takes. Point is, if you want to try knight c5, you have to justify that. Otherwise, black is just gonna, let's say you castle. Okay, black just goes back. And they're like, all right, I preserved my bishop and I'm up a pawn, right? Not that bad. They could even toss in this move, maybe. Take, and black has the bishop. I think black, computer, let's see if it agrees. It says even. What's the best move? What is the best move for black at the castle? It's saying, oh, that's hanging too. I'm missing stuff. They're looking at knight f4 as the second best move. Yeah, it's just take a pawn. Sure, why not? Okay. So yeah. So in other words, take, black can take, get away with it, and is at least even. Like white has active play, but yeah, it's even looking at knight c5 and stuff. But black is fine. Black is still has the extra pawn and survives that, preserves the pawn, it looks like. So then is she going to take it or not? Let's see what she does after the trade. She's still thinking. Let's see, is she thinking here? Let me refresh the screen just in case. Oops. So wait, we are on this one, right? So wait, what? Oh, she took back with a knight. Okay, that sort of transposes, right? Knight takes pawn takes bishop takes. So it's just giving black options here. So you see how it transposes. It's the same exact thing, right? And then you have the knight c5 idea, but then we already saw that it simply fails. No, it simply fails, right? Wait, is castle's best? It's actually the best move, according to Stockfish too. Because I mean, what else does the king do? And point is this fails to this. Knight b4, now the queen hangs, and she can't take, scoop up the bishop. You guys all see the tactic?
Yes.
And black is winning. So yeah, in other words, she gets away with winning the pawn. So the question is, should she have given it to her? But no matter what, I mean, white's going to have active play. They both need to castle their king. Okay, we'll come back to that. Let's see if there's any other interesting game going on. Okay, we have a dragon set up here. Dragon bishop against, so you have a Sicilian. Because we had the exchange, open Sicilian where white goes d4 and we exchange the c for the d pawn. It's kind of a weird opening. Usually you take back with the knight. But at any rate, we ended up with a Sicilian structure. Dragon. Yeah, white's not playing that aggressively, so black just keeps it tight. And you can see actually this has been played a bunch of times. Well, not a bunch, but well, yeah, literally. I mean, not like a plethora, but it's been played. B6 has been played 9 times, and it drew almost every time, 8 out of 9. That's interesting. So I don't know how that worked out, but it's still an imbalanced game for sure. So things can happen here. So you try to outplay them. They're both about the same rating too. So no one, I mean, she's a GM though. Stefanova has achieved the GM title. I guess maybe what is that? I'm not gonna try it. Well, Leia. Okay, let's say Leia. She yeah, she's an IM, but maybe she's climbing up. All right. Because her rating is improving. Okay. So knight d5. And this is our current position. She has a lot more time on the clock. So bishop tucks back. See the rook? So again, we have those discoveries, right? Hitting the bishop here, so the bishop retreats. Queen E8. Kind of a funny looking move, isn't it? Let's see what she has in mind there. My inclination would be to stick my knight. You guys know this concept of sticking your knight on C4 when you have the rook behind it in a Sicilian? Have you guys seen that?
No.
Yeah, it's a common idea. It's very strong in C4. Then you've seen it?
Yeah, I was just thinking that's what they will do.
Yeah, one or the other. Could you? I would move this knight though, so you'd expose the rook would open up. So for example, let's say you go here. They can't go B3. Well, that's just an awkward move. It makes the pieces terrible and it loses a knight. So you can't go B3. You want to go here. Let's say they do something similar. You can certainly come in. And now you have a bishop pair for what it's worth, but that knight is very strong on D5, so looks pretty even. But very imbalanced still, like even chances, but very, they could both play for a win for sure. But I don't know about Queen E8. I'm trying to figure out the idea. Well, one of them is defensive, right? Because you see, again, keep in mind, a lot of this is about those X-rays, kind of prophylaxis. Like I see an X-ray, I don't really want to walk into some break or whatever where I'm going to be under fire. So she moves over, but what's the next step? I mean, maybe knight C5. I mean, what's the queen going to do here, though, right? She has to figure something out. It's not, the computer's not looking at it. It likes knight B4 or knight C5. But it says the black is a little better. Queen E8, it says like even. Because look at white's position though, like the pieces are kind of awkward, aren't they? Bishop's not out yet. Rook is trying to lift, but not really doing rook lift, but not really getting anywhere. Bishop's not bad here, but that's why it's saying you can even challenge the bishop. Pieces aren't really going anywhere though. There's pressure here. That's why she moves off.
So David, given this position, with who do you think is in a better position, black or white? I would say white because
Yeah. I just don't like the Queen E8 move that much. I'm just trying to understand it.
yeah, because you got the rooks, the queens, the bishops, very limited back there, and they're moving up and taking away the spaces for black to go to.
But then again, like I mentioned with white, look at the rook. It's not going anywhere. Bishop's not going anywhere. See, bishop's
Right.
okay here, but we can go after it.
Right.
And again, I like the knight A5 C4 concept. It's very common, or knight E5 C4. So yeah, it's not clear. The only thing white has, you could say a little space because the pawn is moved here. So that gives white, black has black has the two central pawns, but they're not going anywhere yet. So white has that little bit of a squeeze in the center. Put pressure on the D file. You got the D file. You got the D5 square. You got the diagonal. You got hopefully a rook lift that can swing laterally. So white's hoping for that, but there's nothing really concrete that white can do. If you think about for black, let's say the knight comes out to C5, maybe queen, but it's compact. We'd call this a compact position for black. Very compact, but it's solid. And you're hoping to, maybe get like the queen out, get the rook out, maybe like bust him with C5, D5, but it's very hard to do because white has a lot of pressure on that D5 square. White does not want to see that happen, but obviously it's not happening. It's not happening with that queen there. Maybe she's trying to just trying to speculate about what she's doing. Maybe she's trying to shift her rook, but it seems like you just don't really want that. I don't know. If anything, I'd want to bring my queen here and tuck her on B8. It looks funny, but it has more, might have some impact. Because you go queen A8, put pressure here. The other rook can go to E8 or D8, try to push the D5 pawn, break through. You have your knight A5, C4. This is actually a very common concept. Wait, what is it? I don't like this.
So black is in a better position right now.
No, I don't know about that. It's just that I think we can't clearly say that white's better because black is still compact, solid. White has a little bit of kind of untangling to do over here. The bishop not developed, you know what I mean? Not a huge deal, but you can see that white's not like storming black's position. And black's holding their own. Like for example, white's putting pressure on the light squares. Well, black naturally has the dark square, like that one pawn guarded by a pawn. That pawn, look at the squares it's looking at. Even the knight and the bishop, and then all these ones. So E5, you're not going to really get E5. Maybe they were being extra cautious based on this. They really don't want E5 to be played to get the queen. I'm just trying to understand the queen move. I think it's just quite passive, But also there's the D4 square. So similarly, we have the knight and the bishop. There's no pawn covering. There used to be, but that pawn took white's pawn. The pawn's gone. We have a knight and the bishop looking there too. So if nothing else, it keeps white's pieces at bay. See how we're both kind of restricting each other.
Right, right.
But
I
black
see
is
that.
kind of more mobilized in a way, and they're ready to put pressure here, ready for knight c5 or knight e5. Oh, what's that?
No, you were saying that they're both constraining each other, and I see that. Yeah,
Yeah, so
with
there's a lot of
H,
tension.
H5 and F5 and yeah, and what?
Yeah.
E4, E5 and
Mm-hmm.
C5 and yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very hard to do anything. So they're kind of playing it's like a tug of war here. It's kind of a game where like a game of chicken, who's gonna go first?
Mm-hmm.
Just looking at a Kasparov game where he does something similar like this and like this. Very compact, call that a hedgehog. This is a little different. This is a dragon structure, but very tight. Very, you see how it's very tight.
Mm-hmm.
Compact, but it's hard to break through. White will often try the 95 thing to hit e7, but we're obviously we have a knight. Well, we have a queen there now. Often the rook even goes to e8 to cover here. We gotta be a little careful because you're like, well, I'm worried about this pressure on f7. Maybe can't go e6 because you dropped the d pawn. So it's like, there's a little something there. But that's why I think the computer was looking at knight b4. Like, okay, you want to go b3, now your rook's really out of the game. I think that rook's an issue for white in some, even though it looks like it's doing something. If you don't get like a mating attack, which you probably aren't, the rook may just be misplaced. Maybe it's better off doubling here. But the bishop's in the way. So you can see white's not playing the greatest system against a dragon. It's not that it's giving black, let's say it's giving black a lot of leeway. So let's see how this develops in terms of who's going to kind of commit first. Wait, if I come back to it, it's going to refresh it. Aha, she did my move. She did the move I like. So she goes queen e8. There might be some deeper purpose. Like maybe she's aiming for a knight c5 and like making her, that's actually pretty deep. Look at that. What if she goes knight here? And then she tries to provoke b3 to cover a4. See? I wonder if she's going to do that. Queen e2 is played. So here's our current position. So we got 48 minutes. So I don't know. She's a GM, so she'll probably know what to do to handle it. But the IM is doing all right. I don't know. It's like I said, like it's kind of hanging in the balance, right? I mean, look at her position. I don't think it's bad at all. It's kind of a positional way of handling the dragon, right? She's not going for a mating attack. She's just hoping to kind of like carefully outplay her opponent as opposed to like going all out over here, right? She might do this later, but now she's like kind of just focusing on the center, trying to restrain her opponent. But if black gets out, like if black starts unleashing their forces, white could be in big trouble soon, right?
Right, right,
That makes sense?
right.
Yeah, let's definitely come back. This is very interesting. Okay. I don't know who these players are. Looks pretty quiet. This would probably come out of a Caro Kann opening with c6 and d5. There's a popular line like that I'll show you. So I'm guessing it's a Caro Kann. But you'll see the structure come up a lot. So Caro Kann c6. Usually black goes for d4, but they bring out the knights. It's a different system. Okay, it's a funny looking system, but it's actually the most popular move. White scores a little better. It's okay. So black is going for a queen trade. Like, okay, you trade queens, pretty much even position. So white evades that. Bishop comes out actively. So it's been played quite a few times. Been played queen e6 check was played 101 times in this. And white scores better actually. So she goes bishop f5, and that was played 32% versus 47 for what it's worth. So black is scoring a little more with this move, a little more in balance. Okay. Kicks the queen back. Nice. And then suddenly a really solid, compact move, like how black was doing in the other game. Okay, attacks the queen again. Wants to trade. Queen says nope. And now white's winning all these games. Well, there's 2 games that white won. Check the rating though. In context, look, white was way higher rated here and here, especially in the second game. 25-33 versus 20. So that may have nothing to do with this position, right? Then you can check the computer analysis, you can check the stats, you can check the ratings, you can try it yourself. So you have all this data you're connecting, right? Trying to figure out if it's good or not. Then you see it in practice. So 97 castles. So it's really, yeah, nice and solid for white here. And they're both similar ratings here. But yeah, just really solid, good piece placement. But then again, how do you break into black's position? That's called the saw. This setup is actually called the saw. I guess it's kind of like teeth of a saw on light squares. kind of you can't really get to them, right? So you get the dark squares, but to what end, right? Hard to prove anything here. Often this knight will land on d5 and stuff and just lock it down. Okay, you want the bishop? I just tuck it back. But very comfortable play for white, right? It's good piece placement. You have the e-file pressure, half open e-file. Okay. So she goes after the bishop. She's like, okay, let's take your bishop. Let's get a bishop pair. Castle queen side. Interesting. Little open over there, but you can. Okay. So white is trying to crush him. They're both IMs too. Pretty similar. IM, same rating almost. So she goes for two. She gets 2 pawns for a piece. Oh. And she has to give up the exchange. Give the exchange back. So that would be 2 pieces for a rook and 2. No, wait. Yeah, it would be 2 pieces for a rook and 2 pawns. That's a bishop pair though. So if she wants to take that bishop, so for example, let's say whenever she won't take it yet because she keeps the pin. Let's say she does this. That's 2 bishops. And we have no wait. Yeah, it's 2 bishops for a rook and 2 pawns. This one and this one. See? White has 2 extra pawns, but those bishops are going to be super strong. Tear up the board, right? Light squares, dark squares, dominate the board, can outplay those rooks. So if she doesn't take it, of course, she can take whenever she wants. She builds pressure. I don't know if it's accurate for white to do this. So white's keeping pressure. Attack the bishop. So ultimately she has to make a decision. So she takes. Kind of to show her cards. Okay. Kicks the queen out. So here we are. But you can see like this, she kind of had to show her cards is like, what does she really have after this sacrifice? She broke through. She got the rook, but she had to give up a knight and a bishop. See, she got some pawns and the rook, but look at the end result though. Here we are right now. I don't know, do you think white has enough for that sacrifice that they made? And now we have the bishop tucked in here with the king. Do you think white really has anything here or are they just worse, or what do you think? We have to now it's the smoke is settled, so now we can evaluate what she may have gotten or not.
Is this a live position?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you see the clock going down, it should be live. So
Okay,
black has a
yeah.
lot more. So black has a lot more time. They have a bishop pair. Look at the king safety. Is the king safety an issue here? They got the bishop on d6, covers e7. Bishop here looks at h5. Could come here. I don't know those bishops though. What do you guys think about this? Does she have enough Does she have enough? Well, technically white's have a point. But black does have a bishop pair for a rook, you know. But white has the 2 pawns if she can use the pawns. She might not get a chance if those bishops tear things up, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
But how would you evaluate this?
bishops are dangerous.
They are. Yeah, I mean, I like that bishop coming in here. The rook can. The thing about the bishops is even though you have the rooks, you can't use the rooks. Like if you have 2 bishops next to each other, there's no invasion point. Often you have bishops like this. Take away all the invasion points. So the bishops outplay the rook, and then obviously the bishops can swarm.
So would you do a pawn
Usually
storm
when you trade
here
off
if you're
one of the
white?
rooks, the bishops just deal with the rook on their own. What's that?
I said, what I would do if I was playing is I'd do a queenside pawn storm if I was white.
Yeah. You try to go for the king, and then in the meantime,
Right.
what black do? Yeah, that's probably where they're trying to go over here or something. These guys.
Yeah.
But keep in mind that the bishop here. See, if the bishop weren't there, then the king would be more exposed. But the bishop, as long as it sits snugly on d6, the king is pretty snug on c7 in turn, right?
Yeah. By the way, Narva went to
You can't really
UMBC.
you can't really reach him on the dark squares. What's that?
Narva went to UMBC.
Oh, really? You know
Yeah.
you know who they are, or you just looked them up?
I recognized May Narva's name from the UMBC website. She apparently graduated. She's not on the team anymore.
Okay. And now she is playing in Isle of Man, I think it is.
Yeah.
So bishop d5. That's kind of expected. So I don't know. I don't know. I think I'd favor black here. It's hard to say, but overall, I mean those, pawns aside, if we're not talking about the 2 pawns, black's way better. So all white has, the hope for white is, hey, I got the 2 pawns. But even then, how are you going to use the pawns? If you start pushing your pawns, you expose the position. Every pawn move exposes your position. Bishops get around them, right? Now, the only question is, does white actually have anything on the queen side? Well, what do, right? Oh, Matt, you said, okay, first of all, the rook's hanging to the bit, well, exchange is hanging.
Well, yeah, you have to.
And then, like, what do they even do? Maybe, like I said, rook a4, you just probably go a6. As you said, pawns.
Well, he could just move the A rook right over to E1.
This one?
No, the A,
No,
A.
but then the bishop just takes it. Bishop takes, actually white blocks up a piece. If they win an exchange.
Yeah.
Because right now you have 2 pieces for a rook. If you get that exchange back, it's purely a piece for a rook, game over, basically, right? Hey, Nikki, how's it going?
Hey guys, hello.
I was saying, like, if the A1 rook moves to E1, and if the bishop takes him, then the queen takes him back. So that would give her a little bit of firing power, a little bit.
But black has more firepower overall because they're like, hey,
Yeah.
I got that bishop. As long as you
Yeah,
can't,
yeah. I
You'd
got the
go
bishop,
rookie
yeah.
8, wouldn't you?
yeah. And you see the solidity, man.
Well,
There's an interesting game, Nikki. We're just looking at how white kind of probably went for a premature sacrifice. I mean, it was tempting. They went for the, so it's against the Caro-Kann. You can recognize probably the Caro-Kann structure, right?
Right.
Usually it could come out of a Scandinavian too. Pawn is the D pawn trades for the E pawn and C6.
Bye, Leah.
See you later.
well, yeah.
Hi, Nikki.
Hey,
So
Lynn.
Nikki's in, Leah's out. Okay. Right around 1. Okay. So we have yeah, so we have like I said, white gets activity in this kind of position. Black goes for queenside castling, which is interesting. I guess partially, influenced by the fact the queen's in the way, but obviously if they really want to, they can go like queen out. No, but you can see that because of this sack, it's almost necessary because she saw it coming, right? So for example, queen d6, boom, and white's winning. Check, you win the
Nice.
queen. And the queen can take the queen, fine. But you're already guarding the queen with the knight. So when the queen takes the queen, you recapture with check. And you just pick up the pawn for nothing. And then black's just getting crushed pretty much because you got the 2 pieces swarming, full development, king's under attack, right? So it's just a pawn up, probably stockfish. Stockfish will be like pretty high evaluation, plus
Yeah.
2.5, So yeah, she saw that, which is why she castles. And then they do it anyway. But now it doesn't really do. Well, here's the thing. She says she's figuring, okay, I get 2 pawns for a piece. Then because I have this diagonal on B8 and C7, they have to block with the rook. So she's figuring, hey, at least worst comes to worst, I give up 2 pieces for the rook and I get 2 pawns. But I would say sometimes that could be faulty logic because it's like, oh, worst comes to worst. But what about what's the best you're going to get though? You're not really getting anything else other than that, right? Because the attack can't escalate. You see what I mean?
Yeah, there's not really much there anymore.
The queen is going to move here to d6 and the bishop could come out, the rook can come out. And the other thing is that there are very few pieces on the board. Now, if white had a knight around, that's different.
Yeah.
If we had a knight like, oh, I don't know, maybe where would it be? Like this game on c4, for example. Like if you had a knight hopping into c4, okay, now that's a different story. That could get dangerous, right? Got the knight hopping all over the place. And, if you go a6, you got b6, almost mate and things like that. So yeah, like b6 check, king moves, queen b8 mate or something, right? So like if, for example, let's say you provoke a6, like we looked at rook over. So anyway, yeah, that could get bad. But there's really nothing here, okay, they make, they're just like, hey, I'm going to go for something else. I think it was hasty. I think so. Let's see if the computer agrees. But then again, like, what does white do? Oh, Matt, maybe now they should do the pawn storm without giving up the pieces. Because here's the thing, it's kind of like, if you take on f7 or f2, right? When they castle and you try to like go knight takes and rook takes and bishop takes on f2 or f7. So like, oh, I get your king out. I give up my knight, knight and bishop for a rook and a pawn, equal material, quote, equal. And the computer you'll see tends to really favor the one who has the knight and the bishop. Here's the point though, when they give up, you guys know what I'm talking about? Like when they take on f7 or f2, but they had to give up the knight and the bishop because the king's castled.
Yeah.
Now when that happens, okay, you've given up all your attackers. These are your main attackers. So you use them to get e6, but then to what end, right? You've given up your main, and that's where we start to see it fizzling out. They go for this and then it fizzles out, right? Or yeah, they challenge the bishop. Bishop's got to do something. I guess it could have gone back. No, if it goes to c4 and then it's game, the rook just moves. They got nothing. They're on a piece. That's just it, right? Pretty much it. So they have to take, and that's not what they want. They can't trade. That's a bad endgame, right? Kick the queen again. They keep kicking their pieces away, and the
I
bishop.
definitely like the mat idea, like just start throwing, chuck, like you say, chuck the pawns. Maybe chuck some
Before
pawns.
the sack on
Yeah,
these
before,
right now or before the
no,
sack?
way back, like before, like even the
Yeah,
sack.
there was no risk. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
like
now they've
before,
again. I think that there's okay. Let's see now. I think black's a little better. Let's see if the computer agrees. I think we're liking the bishops. It thinks black's a lot better. It's funny. Also -2.5. Remember there was another line that it could have gone another way. It was -2.5. It's still saying -2.5. So they liked black, meaning it's like a huge, it's a huge advantage, basically, massive advantage. But it's kind of like black has all the chances. What is white? Again, like the rooks are just not doing anything. Those two pawns are not pushing. Bishops contain the rook and attack. Oh, maybe I kind of like the idea of going, just playing for g6, just trading and putting pressure here. That's one way to go. Can't really do much about that, right? In terms of getting it in, pretty much get it in if you want, and then they have to worry about this one and sacks on g3 or something, and maybe move the h pawn later. So it's possible. Otherwise, I mean, where are you going to go? You can go here and yeah, maybe do some rook lift stuff. Maybe try to win the h pawn. That would be good too. We can like maybe come out and return to f7. I don't think they want to play g4 to guard it, right? If they open up their king. And again, that's what we want. We want them to start pushing their pawns because our bishops are going to take advantage of weak points, right? For example, if you play g4, like the rook's going to have to retreat somewhere probably. Then the rook starts coming in on f4, right? That's a weak point. Now we want those weak points. h5 has already been played. Again, that becomes the target, right? We can use our queen even. And again, like the only way they're going to stop it is by probably going g4, which really opens them up, right? You can look at f3, g4, you can hit with g6, bishop can reroute. It's bad. That's where we're seeing problems. I think they might just they might have nothing else, just pick off the h pawn. Okay, so we'll come back. Let's go back to the other one we were looking at. Nothing much is, oh no, they began pushing. Okay, so we were looking at this one, Nikki. They're very compact dragon structure, right?
hmm
Kind of a weird opening by white. She's sort of just trying to get out of the book.
I should play like a closed. Wait,
Yeah. Do you think it's open or closed Sicilian? What were you saying?
I'm just thinking about the knight. No, it looks like you said, it's compact. It looks kind of, I don't know. It's just,
Is it okay? Look at the pawn structure. Just forget about. Yeah, it's gonna be more compact for black. If you just think of the bare bones pawns, would this come out of an open Sicilian or closed? What do you think? Not to put you too much on the spot, but just think about it. Would this be based on the feature, based on which have been traded? Is this an open or closed Sicilian by nature?
Looks like a
Open.
close. I say close.
Okay, so closed is not like fully locked, but it's based on the commitments that white makes in the center. So open is when you make a break against the C pawn.
yeah, the D4 or something, right? Like,
So did D4 happen? Obviously, well, it had to happen. Well, unless black made it happen, but yeah,
yeah,
white.
it's gone.
So they traded, which makes it by definition this is an open Sicilian. You have these two, and it's funny because sometimes you'll get an open Sicilian on different opens. Like, it might be a D4 opening, and then black strikes back with D5, and someone takes, and we have a Sicilian, right? As long as you end up playing E4, or Maroxy bind or something with like a King's Indian with like the 3 pawns coming, and then you trade off suddenly, play C5, trade pawns. Okay, now it's like similar to this, but the pawn is just going to C4. Oh, she just made a move. But yeah, so we were looking at, and you'll see, Nikki, here we go.
Oh, there it is. My God.
She picked kind of a funny move, like off the beaten path a little bit. But it's a thing. I've seen a lot of people do this in blitz games. Then usually they'll pin it. See, that actually scores pretty well. It's like this would be called an anti-Sicilian, they're not going into the main, or really anti-Sicilians are kind of like, similar to this, but maybe like a bishop b5 check is a common one. Actually, that's the second move played here. It's the canal attack on the mind.
I hate that when they do that.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. Kasparov has a game like this that I think he may have won. It's usually off on the draws. I actually kind of like knight d7 because you're not giving them anything. It's a little passive, but knight c6 allows them to double. But this doesn't give them anything. You're like, all right, I'm gonna go here, bring out my knights and kick you back, right? So anyway, they went for that. They could have gone to bishop e5, but they're like, nah, I don't want to have to give up my bishop for the knight. They decide not now. Because if you go here, when black goes a6, you have to take. Otherwise, they go like this, and you are gonna lose your queen, otherwise, or your bishop. So you gotta I don't know, it's bad. Yeah, it's just bad. Because the queen's hanging, right? Oh, this is crazy though. No, this is crazy. You can't take double checkmate. You see
There's so
that?
many traps in this damn
Yeah,
position.
very
You
trappy.
can't
You guys see that? This or this? You
That's
guys see
awesome.
double checkmate.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
very pretty.
I don't have time to deal with it. Yeah, I didn't look at that at first. It's interesting. So actually, do not take the queen, but you end up winning this one and you unpin yourself. And you know, it's you just have a piece for 2 pawns. I'll take. Oh, wait a second. No. Once again, I'm not looking at stuff. Check. And now we're winning 2 pieces for 2 pawns. We get 1 pawn each for each piece. So fork. You don't have knight c3 to guard. Yeah, black's winning. Black's a bishop and a knight. So yeah. Point is, if they go a6, you have to commit to taking, and that's not bad for black. You know, it's okay. So she decides I'm just going to bring the queen, kind of like a center game. The center game is like this. Very interesting, actually. It's not a bad way to play. It's just interesting, you know. You go queen e3. You can see it doesn't score great, but it's an interesting way to play because it's not like it's that bad, and you still have a pawn on e4. And yeah, like after knight f6, what was the main move? Just develop, and you could probably play like f3, f4, and yeah, it's playable. But obviously, you can see black does okay if they know how to handle it. But it's like good for blitz games too, just so you know. You could try if you haven't seen it. Yeah. Anyway, here we go. So we have, and then we just have like typical setup. But black is, I mean, white's obviously not that aggressive. The whole queen retreat. Black is almost done with their development, and you can see that this is where Aronian has done this. Demchenko has done this, not as strong as Roni, but a GM, solid GM. So anyway, but you can start to see that white doesn't gain much. And then black decides to fianchetto. White expands a little on the queen side. And we have a rerouting of the knight, pretty typical. Keep an eye on the bishop so it goes back. And then I just don't understand, I don't quite understand queen e8. I think there may be some idea of like knight c5 and try to make him play b3 later. I'm not really sure. Mainly, if nothing else, we're getting off the d file, right? Now we talked about that idea to go c4. Very common. Nikki, you've seen this?
Yes.
Classic Sicilian theme, open Sicilian. Because again, we have that trade, so we can support it with the rook. She doesn't allow it though. She keeps an eye on c4 with 2 pieces, so you can't come in. Not yet. Okay, h6, kind of taking it slow. Well, stopping bishop g5, which puts pressure. We don't need that. Okay, now here's where things develop. Since we were on knight d5, and then we just saw knight a5, and then now we're catching up. A few moves later, b4, can't come in still, right? Bishop would take guarded, so she has to retreat, and then she supports with c3. But now look at this. Now she's
Yeah.
c4.
E5.
But you still can't come in. I just don't like that queen on e8. I don't know. I mean, maybe you have to go with e6 and then get your queen out of the way. We want to apply more pressure here, though. Okay, and then the knight goes away. But I mean, they could have taken as well. Maybe she didn't want the pawn. I'm not sure. Probably knight would still take. But what is it that why do you think she went knight d2? What is it that, well, definitely we're not getting into c4 anytime soon. Hey, if anything, we might get into d3 if they let us like, nah, we can't really do anything, you know? It's interesting, if we ever do get bishop a6 in to support, they can go b5. Like, let's say the queen's not there. You can retreat, though. You can, like, provoke them to go b5. And then you retreat, and then you can use the c5 square for your knight. And, like, then trying to get into d... You get, like, oh, I can't get into c4. I'm getting into d3, maybe. Anyway, there's just hypotheticals, but it's good to look at. Okay, so what does white want? Why does she retreat her knight, though? What does she want to do next? Most likely.
Maybe some kind of like c4, f4 idea.
Yeah, f4. She can just boot the knight with f4. Funny enough, if she gets b5 in, she can then threaten to win the knight. But again, if you go b5, like let's just say I don't know, waiting move. If you go b5, knight c5, this doesn't work anymore, I think. I mean, black has to be no, it's a fork actually. So at the very least, you could take the bishop. But yeah, oh no, my bad. This is guarding for now. Okay, like let's say, oh, I don't know. Let's say knight decides to move. So now we're attacking this. At the very least, we can take the bishop. but there might be more than that. How about this? And now they're in trouble. E4 falls. So knight is C5. Just an example, right? This could be very bad. And black is kind of winning now. Because you got the whole center. And C3 is about to collapse. 1, 2, 3. And I'm sure computer agrees that black is way better. Let's end this.
Oh
Minus,
my.
-5. But yeah, it's just, I mean, white's position is in shambles, right? Weakness. I mean, well, you could guard, you can't even guard it now, but it's like target, square to use, push the pawns in the middle, you know, make a get a pass pawn going, bishop pair. It's just too many advantages accumulating. But mainly it's just the weaknesses. And hey, we just picked off. Oh, E6 has happened. Interesting. So she finally got her E6 in, as we were kind of looking at.
Oh yeah, you were, yeah.
Entertaining some possibilities. Wait, so she actually does go H6, right? B4. Okay, so this is what we looked at. And now we're thinking, okay. So yeah, she didn't, I'm just saying a sample line. So she knows the F4 is coming and she gains time on the knight. Wait, there still may be problems on this pawn, although the knight, by moving away the knight card, but you can see that it becomes a little bit, here's our live, and you can tell it's live because her clock's going out. I think it's a little difficult for white to play this position. Because like, look, they didn't get anything really out of the opening. I mean, look at the disarray. And look at this, look at the rook.
And the rook's been sitting there for a long time.
Yeah,
And
and
now
that
that
bishop.
she committed to C3 too. So you may never get out of there. You know, maybe may lose before the rook comes in. You have to go bishop B3 and they'll be like, no, never mind, I'm going back somewhere. And they also have back rank mate problems potentially because the rook needs to be back home, right? It doesn't want to be on A3. The only reason I said it might be, oh, they made some moves. The only reason it might be justified on A3 is if it did some rook lift to do an attack, but there was never an attack because white didn't play an aggressive opening. So this is where she's trying to throw off her really hard, not really weaker opponent. Well, she's an IM. So she worked to get her GM title and then probably her rating just fell. Because she had to reach 2,500 unless she got in some other way. Like, yeah, like there's a senior championship. I know, like if you win the senior championship, world senior, you get a GM. I'm not sure if there might be a couple of things like that, but pretty much you'd have to get 2,500 with 3 norms. So at any rate, she's earned her GM title. So she probably just fell back a bit, but overall, she's probably a stronger player overall, unless she's already GM strength. But hey, anyone could fall anytime, especially if her rating's falling. She may not be as, active as she used to be. If you're not as active, it's just kind of hard to stay on top versus someone who's playing all the time, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, at any rate, you can see that black really is doing great. I don't know. Again, queen 8 was weird, but then she can just adjust and go to E7, right? So 93 is played. So she still wants to play F4, maybe. If she goes to knight F4, like where are you going? There's no F4, and the knight just sits with impunity on E5, guarded 3 times, aiming at those squares, and black is just doing very comfortable, right? But you can see that black doesn't really have any coordination problems. Like let's say queen E7, 0 problems here. Watch out for D6. She's not getting to D6, right? You can double up your rooks. You have the bishops looking in their position. You have a great knight here. You have a safe king, a lot of protection on the king. So you can see how this could be really good. Could be really good for black, right? And what does white do? Again, where's the play? Anytime you go B5, you give access, right? It's very important. Don't do B5 really. I guess they can go, oh, there's some play. Okay, there's that. I didn't look at that. Trying to open. Okay, I would probably bypass. I don't want to let the rook see the light of day. Okay, they can go A6, we go back. So what? That's actually a target now later on. If you go here and here, you can probably win that pawn actually. Oh, my bad. No, I'm sorry. I'm missing a couple things. You can't go B5 because it hangs. You probably saw that. Okay, what do we do then? What do we do? Do we have to take? Yeah, so I guess I'm trying to think what's White's idea. That might be the idea with. So B4, yeah, they're like, look, it's a little weakening, but hey, I got to cover, and eventually, I'm hoping to play A5. So here's what we do: you go E6, knight goes back. This is actually what happened in the game. She brings her knight around, but now she's threatening the E pawn. There's that target pawn, and you see her pieces are springing to life. And she may get the D5 break in, which is good. Okay, here we are. This is our game. So she actually retreats her knight, but now so she's like, fine, I'm going back again, but now your E pawn's hanging. It's very difficult for white now. she gotta keep, I mean, she's trying to just cling on to her center, but certainly black is the one taking over, on creating initiative, right?
Yeah, and you said something about the C pawn too, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, wait. Given that, I'm trying to figure out, what's going on with A5. Okay, given that, let's say, where we were looking at like a sample line, right? Where was our sample line? It was like A5, right? In
Right.
that case, maybe we can take it. Maybe. Because then if the rook takes, then this one is hanging. So is this though. It's complicated. You have to measure. But you can always play A6 if you want to guard it. And then bishop's kind of sits there, but it's dealing with that for now. And this is still hanging. So like, what do? I mean, this passive looking bishop B2, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. And then, oh, check this out. Maybe we can go back. Okay, now we open up this one. No. But still, I just think black's pieces are a little more purposeful. Like this bishop is now blunted. This bishop is definitely blunted. The rook is looking here, but we've dealt with it. We didn't let it do anything too effective. But the other thing we could do is maybe just let them take. We'd have to assess this really carefully. But we might get away with this now that there's a pin. And almost if we move it to pin, I don't know. This can get really weird. Look at this. What if we go here, then they take, and then we take, and then we're just, it's a matter of who's swarming more, right? But you can tuck your king here again, right? I don't know. It's a weird position. But, yeah, I think she should play for A5 though. I think that's like her play here is also F4, which she does, but we're going to see what even if she gets anything out of this at all. Wait, where's the actual game? Let me refresh it. So here we are. Yeah, so she gets F4 and that goes back. So now she doesn't have time for A5 because this is hanging. So what does she do? She probably has to move this knight. She doesn't want to walk into a pin. She probably moves the knight, but where? Maybe C4? I think that might be her counterplay though, because she hits G6. I mean, again, probably. Oh, no. Yeah, Queen E7, because you can't push. You don't want to walk into that, right? That's bad. So I think what you do then is you go Queen E7. And they can't, again, they don't want to move the knight because this falls. And then we try and play for D5. Like, for example, let's say random move, D5 takes, and then black's pieces spring to life. And then they collapse almost. See? They fork these two because the bishop supports. And yeah, I think probably black is way better. -2, black, as if black's up two pawns. Yeah, I mean, you just spring to life. Interesting. I wonder if this is the best move, Queen E7. Yeah, it's the best move because everything else is not good. But you finally move your queen up. And then, yeah, and then finally you get the D5 break coming now. Nothing much to do about it, right? If the knight moves, I think you can maybe snatch the pawn again. Because when you snatch the pawn, you're covered by the bishop. You see all of black's pieces come forward all of a sudden, and the bishops support everything. This bishop supports the knight coming here, and the other bishop supports the knight taking another pawn, right? And then the pawn can push and support the knight and not have to deal with the knight. You push it, that's where you use the big center. Let's say they guard. Now you go here if you want, and you can kick the knight and just support your center. You can also go like that and keep the pawn here, so the knight can't come in. Because if you push, hey, at least they could come in. Takes. Yeah, now it's looking at like just get the queen out somewhere, like maybe here. It's bad. Yeah, I mean, black's up a pawn. They've got anchored the knight in. They've got center coming. They've got the C file pressure. They got pressure on F4. Yeah, it's bad, right? And again, that's why it's adding up to 3 points up for black. Again, we're seeing like once black frees the position, we have an accumulation of advantages. And when we have the advantages, we have the weaknesses in white's position. The position explodes, and we see all that. All that is laid bare, basically. And we see winning. Then we start to see conversion into a win. So you can see these little things add up, and then you just have to blow up in the position to get to exploit them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
D5 will be blowing up. So this is a really instructive game so far in terms of how to handle these kinds of we'd call this actually a semi-open position. When you play C5 and trade, it's not like, now if we were to trade off more pawns, See, once we do that line I mentioned, if that were to happen, like this is pretty open. Like especially if we trade off, well, if you trade off all the central pawns, it's wide open. Trade off one more pair of central pawns, but we're not trading both. We're just winning one, right? We're winning one. It's still sort of semi-open. From black's perspective. From white's, it's all open in white's side, right? And that's where we're trying to get. But overall, the position is semi-open. Semi-closed might be like some pawns are locked up, but not that many pawns. Like D pawns are locked up, and then closed is like a king's ending where you have like a pawn chain that's locked up, right? Just like you can't enter their position without a pawn break, right? But here you could kind of get around, like, you know, we're looking at E4, we're looking at C3, we can access each other's positions pretty easily, right? If we pile up. Anyway, so more tactical possibilities. Okay, so what actually happened here? So we are at, yeah, she's found this move. And now she's doing really well. And she's counting about the bishop B1. Okay, so now she's ready for her break whenever she wants. Oh, because she's covering E4. All right, let's see if there's any, what else were we looking at? Anything else interesting going on? Oh, remember we looked at this game? So basically, white held off black's attempts over here. So kind of like one of the main things they were hoping for is the file activity. This is neutralized pretty much. There's nothing here. She's probably hoping for like F6 and then swing over here to double on the G file. But even that, like I said, you know, you can deal with it. But then again, that bishop is something, right? The bishop is doing more than the knight. The knight probably wants to come here to D4. That's a fork, right? So they have to be careful about knight D4. So it's saying C5 is the best move. And then even B4 takes. There's that knight move. See? So white can kind of spring to life, but black's okay, you know. But it's kind of white's king is castle, black's not, and it's a little tricky. And then the Mizutrick game. So this is again former women's champion here against a much weaker, should be a much weaker player. Black is doing pretty well. Look at those pieces, right? Oh wait, that was which game? Oh, that was the game. Remember the game where white sacked the pawn on E5?
Mhm.
Okay, what happened? Oh wow, they took with the bishop. I was not expecting that. Yeah, they should have taken with the knight. Because that bishop is like, why are you going to weaken your dark squares and give up the bishop pair? You just don't need to. I'm not sure what her rationale was. I mean, it's active knights, but as we saw, we were looking at the knight takes line, which favored black pretty much. This one's a little less clear. But hey, I mean, look, she got a nice, it worked out for her in terms of she castles queenside. It worked out for her in terms of getting a pretty active position. So she kicks the knight out of there, centralizes the queen, and now she wants that battery, right? So that's smart. She uses her knight. Oh, okay. See what she's doing with her knights? So she can use the C4 square. She's going to set up mate here. So she's really hitting a lot of light squares. Well, that's a mate threat. It's hard to meet that because the pawn is here on F5, stopping the bishop, E4 to block. So bishop pins the knight, but obviously it's easily dealt with because there's a mate threat. They move the F pawn, which weakens the king side, right? Moving the king side pawns more. And then they move the knight out of harm's way to a great square on C4. Computer saying black's doing a tad better. Pretty close game. But this is, yeah, I mean, look at black's piece placement. Not bad, right?
Not bad at all.
But to prove something is not easy. And white does have the bishop pair, which could be annoying. But I think black has done something with the knights. But still, it's your job. If you're playing against the knights, you got to restrain them. And the rooks can come out. E6 is a little bit of a liability. I think they want to play E5 actually, right? Trying to blast things open. Maybe G5. Maybe sack the pawn. You know, takes, bishop takes, then swing over. You see how they can sack the pawn and open up the king side line.
Files.
Yeah, you can trade 2 for 1, right? Yeah, why not?
That looks like a nice break.
Especially with the pressure on F3, you have some stuff here, the pins and stuff. Yeah, that could be very good. Or like, let's say you do that and you combine that with E5 maybe. You have E5, E4, F4. You have all these pawns coming. You have like all these pawns coming at white's position. So that could be good. So what does black do here? Yeah, the computer is looking at A5 and then counter with E5. And then if you take here, take on C7, attacking the rook. I'd be a little cautious about taking with the king. I guess you could. And then, okay, fine. Let's just look at a sample line. Let's say movement. Let's say this fine. Queen checks. King over. This is hanging, so they support it. Now the knight's still hanging. And the knight's trapped.
There an alternative to taking with the king? It's like not totally losing. Just curious.
For white or for black? Black
For
is
black.
winning. Black's winning anyway. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
the way it has, doesn't really matter. But yeah, you could do like rook move somewhere, like go after the queen. Sure, why not?
Yeah, I
This
don't know.
knight's
I just don't like it either. I think we could pick up that pawn later after
yeah,
everything
yeah,
goes
true.
down.
I was a little wary of it, but yeah, you could do that for sure. But now the knight's falling. See?
Yeah, he has no squares. Where's he gonna go? H1?
No, actually, wait. No, it's tricky. Because if they take, bishop takes, skewering here.
Oh, that's wait, what?
Oh, no, there's a queen check though. See, that's the thing. When I say F3 is weakening, first of all, F3 could be, you could strike at it. But the other thing about F3 is it just opens up. Now, you may not like mate them on the diagonal, but it's that checks are available. So for instance, very tactical. So for instance, takes, skewering here, right? You don't really want to have to give up the rook here for the bishop. But if you move the queen somewhere, you're going to lose this. So we check. King moves, and we don't lose the bishop. And then we insert the check. Then we take it. And then it really wants to take, Nikki. I don't think
Okay, okay.
I don't think it's funny. Oh, because the rook check. Yeah, let's just take it. Yeah, there's no checks. Okay, so we're just up a knight. Winning position. I mean, a little bit of work. King's a little open. Yeah, you'd be careful, but I don't see them getting to the king. The knight can cover. You can always like block with the knight if you need to, but no one's coming after the king. You can try and you can't even go rook here. Rook here to double, maybe. But even then, you have like knight d. So for example, let's say you go here, you might have like knight d6. And then looking at this one, okay, they can double. Maybe the rook can take. That looks pretty good.
Yeah, that looks good.
Oh, the queen can take though. Up. Oops. Gotta be a little careful, but still, I think it's the kind of
I
thing.
didn't
Where
even see that. Yeah, well,
there's not enough. Okay, it's saying this move. Let's see what happens. Okay, rook check. This looks crazy. It actually looks pretty dangerous if you take. There's too many checks. Too many checks. So we don't take. We don't take. Where are we going? Okay, let him check again. We're running again. We're hanging our
oh
rook.
my gosh.
We're hanging our rook, but we're probably mating like that. And there is the weakness of the king by playing F3. Yes, he got a check in and he got a mate because the king's stuck.
Mhm.
Anyway, no, that's just crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's
I was just kind of looking at stuff.
banana stuff over there.
But the idea is that they're giving up the bishop pair, going with the knights, but the knight, they saw that they're going to get c4. So it's actually very principled play by black. I mean, you certainly could have taken with the knight and just taken back with the bishop. Computer prefers knight by a little bit. I mean, I think it's easier to do that, but it's like, it's adventurous, It's venturesome. They went for this, like, let's take the knights. They're centralized. They're a little loose though, but then they tighten them up. But see, even here, like I said, there's a5 though sometimes. To boot the knight. I'm not really happening now. Is it not working? No, that's what we looked at. Wait, did a5? Oh, a5 was played, I think. And then we looked at e5. I think a5 is on the board. Let me refresh it. It's kind of weird sometimes. Yeah, this is actually on the board. So we just analyzed e5 and g5. So actually, computers like in g5. I'll take it off the computer though. But see, we were looking at g5, right, Nikki? That mentioned it. It likes that move. Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. So again, there's like these counterattacks. We could certainly move our knight if we want to be kind of mild about it. Is it
Do we
even?
move our knight and then like whatever they do, like then we play g5? Or is it just too much?
Yeah, like we can go queen check. And then we can go e5, but we can also probably just stick the knight on d5. I don't see a huge problem with this. Am I missing something? I am missing something.
Oh, there's a problem.
I am missing something. Wait, that was still available though. Oh, the moment you check, you hang it. That's why. Okay, wait, how big of a deal is it? Let's see. Why is it so bad? Check. Okay, let's say king moves. Pretty uncomfortable. Now we end up walking into the line of the rook. Oh, now we're the threatening mate. I don't
Ah,
like.
geez.
You want to take here to guard? That looks pretty sketchy. I think there's like rook b5 now. Yeah, rook b5 it says is winning. Or rook takes. Wait, what is this? Check, and then what? The other rook comes or something? Ouch.
Oh,
Threatening mate. Okay, knight covers. Here comes another knight. What? This is crazy. If you take, the bishop comes in. Now there's a mate threat again. You can't, oh, you can't push.
Oh no,
You can't push. Can you move somewhere? No, you can't move here because they stack the queen and mate.
says everything's losing.
Mhm.
Wow. So that's pretty tactical. Well, that means that you can't, that means you can't take it. So you gotta move your queen away. And they keep attacking you with stuff. You can't take because the queen hangs. Lateral. Saying that's the best move. I mean, that's bad. Yeah, you're losing material then. Can the queen, okay. What if the queen tries to run? Oh, wait, no. What if she tries to run? Where does she even go? Like, oh, is there a fork? What? Oh, is it bishop d7?
All right, what?
Oh, we set up a mate in the corner because it takes away the square from the king. Check, check. That's so tactical.
Yeah, that's really,
The bishop hang the bishop. That's a brilliant move. Bishop d7.
yeah.
That's pretty cool. So you win the queen then. So you get with attack. Okay, wait, what else is there? No, you know what? I was even looking at, if you really want to, you could do this. Check, it's still winning. But
Right.
we want more, but it's still winning.
That's what I was looking at too.
You saw that. Yeah, it's like the other one we did is similar. But now we have two bishops for a rook. Or they can take. Oh, that's even worse. Then we have a whole extra piece again. And that's winning. Wait, do they have to give us that? That's crazy stuff. Okay. Oh, this is about to fall. So let's say you go here. Knight takes. Okay, we want to go somewhere else. I don't know, here. Bishop takes. King wants to defend. Now we come and get them over here. Just too much. It's too much.
Much piece activity.
Yeah, that's massive piece. That's like incredible piece activity. So hey, those knights end up serving. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so basically you don't, well, queen c5 check, and that's the problem there. So that's why your best move is actually to hang the knight and then counterplay like we looked at. Or let's look at the g5 line. Okay, we looked at taking earlier with against e5. Let's say you want to take this one. Take, and as I said, this line. Now if they take again, you take again, and Nikki, we have that thing with the king. But especially here, the rook's move, so there's not even a threat when they take c7. Okay, let's say they move away. Finally, we move the knight, or we deal with the knight. Apparently, we can keep counterattacking them. Okay. Now they counterattack us. And then finally, we throw in our check. And the good thing about the check is that they don't have here, because the knight on c4. Okay. What if they go, is this bad? It looks a little weak. Okay, so it's saying best move is block. This is just insane stuff. Every line's just crazy. Okay, I want to keep, wait. Okay, well, currently we have three, yeah, wait, what's going on? Okay. So this is pinned, meaning the bishop's hanging.
Yeah,
Right.
you have to block with the rook because otherwise he would have almost an instant checkmate. I mean,
Well,
with the rook
he
on
goes to
H
F1.
file and the queen heading right down the diagonal there,
How do we come after?
you would have to block.
It's saying, yeah, some of these moves are just crazy. It's saying
What's
bishop
this
d5
bishop
to guard.
d5 thing? Yeah, I don't get it.
Guard, wait, okay, let's say they take. Oh, this is hanging though. So like basically this is one of those scenarios where you just don't defend anything and you just attack and they attack you and you attack them and they just a tit for tat, attack and counterattack. Wow.
Yeah.
No, I think it's still her move. So she can go with the queen check, but I think I like the counter. That's a really hard position. She only has 8 minutes.
I mean, but you don't get anything by just checking with the queen. What are you gonna get other than a check? Right?
The idea of the check. Yeah, the problem there. Yeah, what was the point of the check? You're right. No, I think it's that it lures the king. There was some line where they got mated because they were on, there was a line where they get mated if they're on the file. But yeah, generally speaking, you don't need it. You can keep it in reserve for later.
Yeah, I like the idea of saving it for like a useful moment.
Save it
Yeah.
for a rainy day.
Yeah.
For maybe not for a better day. Use let's see, for an aggressive day. So we have this.
Aggressive day. Every day is aggressive.
Yeah. No, especially in this game, there are no quiet days. Once it happened. Well, where did this get uncorked though? Like, so it began with White's pawn sack, right?
Right.
When Black accepts it, all the pieces start flying, and then Black, we then we maneuver a little bit, like you develop, you finish development, and then the knight wraps around. You hit the knight there. The knight wraps around to c4 now. Get off the pin, natural enough. Threaten mate, and then you come in here with a good knight placement, and then this just happens. So now this is where everything just starts hanging. Okay, what does she do? Does she commit? No, I think she's still thinking. So she has her 30. I mean, this is an important moment. Even though you have 7 minutes, you get 30-second increment. You want to make sure you play this right, though. What would you guys do here? I mean, so we saw there's G5, E5. I mean, a lot of people would be inclined to move the knight away, right?
Yeah.
Does that work? If you move the knight away, you get exposed on the B file, though. That's the problem. I mean, nothing immediate. I think it's just that we have much stronger things to get the initiative. Was that?
Yeah.
Is it even it's not even considering. No. It's if you want to defend the knight, it's looking at you can just make the mild, just the calm knight takes pawn. That's no fun though. Yeah, then things get much calmer. Rook fe1, rook he8. Okay, we take a pawn. Here comes the knight again. So more like this is more like positional, kind of lock it in. Hey, Black has a pawn that's gonna run though. That's supported. That's a winning asset potentially. That could be a winning asset.
Yeah.
Okay, bishop comes back. Yeah, let's just say we do a line where we don't hang things. So this is like a way. So it depends on your style. Now, if you're playing with Black and you're not sure, this might be a wise thing to do. Like if you're not sure and you only have 8 minutes, not a bad idea. But if you can see that E5 and G5 are good moves, then yeah, I mean Black is playing extremely well here. She's developing an initiative against former world champions. So yeah, I like what they did. Again, I think it's interesting that they decided to keep the knights instead of giving up the knight for the bishop. Or trading it. What was it? Yeah. Would have been a knight for a knight instead of bishop for knight. Okay. So we come back. Okay. Any other thoughts about that one? Oh, she
Wow.
went for it. She went for it.
Nice.
And that's what we analyzed. That's wild. I mean, if you look at Black's position, though, it's very complicated. But Black certainly has an initiative, but it just all comes down to concrete lines. Like when this knight gets taken, that's not bad. That can't be bad. It just can't be bad. No, you win the knight, right?
Yeah, because remember you said like if the pawn takes and attacks the rook, then the king takes. And I don't want you to take the king. I don't want you to take the king, but like then it was like a whole thing going on.
Oh wait, was that the line? Was that the line where we can check on c5 and it works or not? Okay, it was take c7.
Yeah, I think it
Okay.
was.
Now what if the knight goes here? Oh, but that was the line where the rook was on e8 to take. Okay, wait, is this even possible though? See, it gives away the advantage apparently. So takes.
Oh,
Oh
okay.
no, they take on b7. No, then the king can't take because then they lose. They get pinned.
Yeah.
The queen would have to take. Oh, yikes. Now we're only up in exchange, but it's messy. Our king's exposed. We don't like that. It says a draw, maybe. Perpetual.
Oh,
Okay, so it's saying instead you just come in with a knight. Great output. So we don't actually win the knight just yet. Then the rook wants to move away. Then we get rid of this one, after which we can finally take this one, and we have an extra piece, although our king is exposed. And then we hide our king. And we're up a piece, but it's messy. I mean, I don't think White's getting anything, though. Because they want to double, you just guard with one of the rooks. Yeah, you do this one, you can swing over, maybe. Yeah, either way. So that's pretty cool. So that's what could happen. But at any rate, I don't think that
I hope she doesn't flag. I
don't
mean,
think you
that
wanna
time
lose-
is not good.
What's that?
And I hope she doesn't flag. I mean, her time is low.
She has to get 40 moves in, right? To get her.
I don't know the time control.
Yeah,
Is
I
it
think it's
like
40
regular?
moves.
Oh, okay.
So she doesn't get a half an hour until 40 minutes. But she does have the 30-second. I mean, she made her move. At least she didn't think too much longer. She made her decision. And now she's got, wait, did she do E5? That was her. Yeah, right. Now the question is if she takes. No, she just did E5, huh? No, she goes here. Yeah, no, she did E5. That's the critical. So she hangs her knight. The bishop's hanging. Yeah, she sees that that's good. Well, then the question is, what if they just make a mild move, like move the bishop away? Well, no, there's not really anywhere good to go. If you go here, I think take. Oh, the queen could just take and get rid of it. And then, yeah, they got nothing. And the pawns are just coming. F4 is the threat. So what else do they do? Okay, they want to move the bishop away. They have to go to C1 then.
I was wondering if it has to do one of those weird, like all the way back moves.
Yeah, but then again, we could just we could just take it with the queen. We like that better because we want to keep that knight posted on C4. And it's like, well, there's just nothing there. And then black has great pawns. The white king is probably a little more exposed. I like these pieces here. They're really helping out our king, even though you only have 2 pawns, you have a split structure, but you're covering that B where the B pawn used to be, right? This is acting like a pawn, a very aggressive pawn, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty cool. This is the most fascinating one, I think. Super. Okay, so we can check back, and then there was the one with the compact structure. So black is doing well here, and black was also doing well in which
Dragon one.
oh, there's the 2 bishops one. So she was able to trade off the rook, and now she's just gonna handle that bishop. She's gonna like swarm that rook.
Oof.
She's still down the 2 pawns, but it doesn't matter because those bishops are just dominating.
Yeah,
everything.
they're gonna catch some of them.
Probably, yeah, exactly. Like this is a problem. Later on, the king would like to come in too. Like maybe the king can work its way, or like if you block the rook, you can like come in here and try to win the pawn, or come in here. There's just too many options. Now this is hanging. Can wrap around in here and stuff, and start expanding over here. And well, the thing is, like, let's say they go B3. When you start expanding, eventually, that says A5 is an option, right? Oh, the rook's hanging. Wait, how did that happen? So it was bishop here. Oh, that's weird. Oh, they got their queen back. Okay. So this is hanging, right? So they move it away. Just go here. This is hanging, right? So B3. And then, yeah, then we fix this in place. And yeah, it's very uncomfortable. But again, later on, like, let's say we end up playing like pawn to B4 later, you fix them in place. So once you get your king in there, or like, you get your bishop around, then it becomes really threatening because once you win those pawns, you're going to be getting a queen soon. So it's very difficult. Okay. And then where's that other game we were looking at?
I think it was.
Oh,
Yeah,
was
I
this-
think it was that one. Yeah.
oh, wow. So nothing much happened here. She ended up getting her A5 in. That's the thing. That's how, like I said, that's the way that white kind of tries to survive this. That's the move. Yeah, that's the only way
Yep.
to
You said
not
that.
be
Mhm.
to not be at a big disadvantage. I mean, I was like, what does white do? That's it. Because again, I don't think you want to go B5. The queen just takes. That's not necessary, right? Unless you had a good rejoinder, like bishop A6 or something. Okay, so we come after this pawn. Takes. Yeah, why not? Take with the A pawn. Get it out of the way, of course. Okay, rook comes in anyway. This is correct also. You just guard. You can double your rooks also. Knight comes out. That's correct, apparently. And then now it likes, I mean, the F pawn's hanging right now. But she wants to then eventually take the D pawn and attack the bishop. Even so, we can move our knight in cover. That's fairly complicated. So it's preferring black by like a point. I mean, yeah, we just take the pawn. So we take the pawn. Queen has to find a good place to go. Okay, let's just say she goes somewhere like normal. Yeah, F2, for example. He wants to just anchor it. You can't go G3 because the fork. So now it just gets to stay anchored in there. See? What do they even do? Oh, knight takes here. Oh, that's nice. Because now you've taken the F pawn, you can reside on E5 with this knight. So you're working all those dark squares. See, bishop guards knight. We have the pawn guards knight, queen's covering, everything's covered on the dark squares. At least not this one, but at least the other ones. So then we have all these ideas of swarming, we just have good pieces, and now we open up the queen. So there's no issues on B7, right? We have equal pawns, but vastly superior position for black, right?
Yeah, I always wonder like about that D pawn. I know that you lose, it's like gets captured a lot, and then
Yeah.
I guess it's just kind of a part of the opening. I'm new to it, so
Sometimes, yeah.
okay.
You can sometimes hang it. Yeah, there's a game where in the Dragon, Carlson actually plays like it's on D6. He actually plays E5 and just hangs the D pawn. Like creates a backward pawn, just hangs it.
Whoa,
And he
just
wins.
like on purpose, like to get like
Yeah, it
activity.
kind of neutralizes things somehow. And then he just wins something, and then he just pushes his queenside pawns or something like that, if I recall.
And also, again, am I missing something? Is the C pawn? Oh no, I guess that then our bishop
No,
hangs.
no, it's right, but it's problematic. So he just, yeah, first she just needs to deal with the issues over here. Once she resolves, like maybe she'll go rook a8. And then once she resolves that, then yeah, then there's a huge problem here because you know the knight just needs to move and this is hanging. There might even be ideas of just sacking it, like if the queen's there, pseudo sacrifice, but the
Mhm.
queen couldn't take back because you'd have to check and you wouldn't.
Discoveries, yeah.
Yeah, so we have the bishop cannot. Maybe you can even play knight here. Oh, that'd be kind of cool. Look at this one. What if we go here, opening up the bishop, then we stick the knight here to fork them? And
I like that.
then no, I mean, to if they, I meant fork, as in if they fork us, then we fork them back. So like just a sample line. Let's do another sample line. Like okay, it's looking at c4. Okay, fine, like c4. And if you end up doing this, just to, you know, again, it's probably not the best move, but like just like this, for
I
example.
like it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, not. I mean, not. You know, we'd have to look at the exact moves, but just the point is they can't go here because you have a fork. So eventually, the only problem is they still cover like that. No, you'll even have lines where you can go like that. Sometimes you have lines like, you know, you can do this. And if they take, you fork them. Just examples, you know. Anyway,
Good to remember. So
yeah,
I
just
don't know how that went away.
just concepts. Yeah, just concepts. So where are we at currently? She didn't. Is she thinking about taking? Yeah, she should take. I mean, sometimes it's weird, like I have to refresh it. Yeah, it's interesting. It's still pretty. What move are we on? We're only on move 25. So she has. Yeah, but in this case, it's I guess I'm rooting for black here because I like how she's handling the Sicilian. And so she has the lead in time. Whereas the other game, Corey is better, probably. She's the one who's pressing, so I'm also rooting for black in this game just because she's also playing, just because she's playing great. Oh wait, she did it. Did it work out? Oh, the bishop decided to take, apparently the best move. And then she finds this move to get it back.
Nice. Oh,
Pawn takes, she takes. So apparently they're finding best. I mean, the computer's pretty good in this kind of thing where she's like pure calculation, like tactical lines. So she's finding the right moves here. And then now apparently, you know, there's a few options that are similar, slightly favoring black. But white's doing a good job in maintaining this, you know, integrity of their king side, basically. But it's a little loose, as you can see. Like you always got to worry about losing that pawn, is, you know, the queen wrapping around, you know, like maybe she's thinking about that. That's interesting. Queen C. Oh, she's going for an endgame, huh? So she assesses that she's doing well in the endgame. Let's see. Is it even? It'll be even pawns. The thing I don't like for black is this H5 idea. It can crumble. And remember, Nikki, that came up where you found that move?
yeah.
Where you found that move in the other game like a month ago, a couple months ago maybe. And then this just, I remember you found that one.
Actually, oh no, I didn't. I don't remember.
You
I'm
found
like,
it.
yeah.
You found
I'm
it, I
like, no,
remember.
I don't.
I don't know if you guys remember that, but it's the concept where the wing pawn pushes to just, because see, this
Oh,
is
to mess him
played
up.
now. So this is played, you soften G6. If the pawn were here, it wouldn't really do much. But since G6 has been softened, H5 will crumble this. That's interesting. So she's kind of going like the risk-free approach. I mean, hey, then she's hoping to fork them after that, right? Right? Oh, that's interesting. Is that no? You know what? I think she's assessing that after the trade. Like, let's say they want to take here again, like you said, Nikki. Maybe they ignore it and just boom, come in there. Obviously, you can't fork because they take a check, but you can just come in here, and that's pretty dangerous. Oh, they have rook f2, but still, I think she's assessing that, you know, she'll have a pretty good position, and the rook would be here if there's a queen trade. Oh, plus you have knight e3 and stuff. So you probably just have to take back
That's very dangerous, very dangerous.
for white.
Yeah,
It's easier for black to play, I think.
yeah.
And you can already see the split. And again, like I said, well, especially when the knights were like this, can really help. But still, you have the knight guarding a3. So if you get to a3,
Yeah, and you were saying that a pawn can run.
yeah, if you anchor it on a3, I mean, they'll try to undermine your knight. But yeah, maybe bishop can help. But this pawn is really an asset. Well, let's just say this. This pawn is way better than the C pawn. Because this pawn's already dealt with. Probably about to win that one. And then this pawn's kind of hard to win because, and also we have the advantage of being castle queen side here with the pawns with the pawn action going on the queen side for the most part. And again, that's where, because the king can help, this king can't help that easily. But again, that's where this issue is going to be critical, because then white can make it about the king's side. They want to distract, right? They want to sort of decoy black and lure them over to the king's side, get their attention here, get the initiative, in other words, over here, so that black can't just freely push the pawn and support it and get some tactics and queen, you know? But the other thing is that, yeah, I think black picks off the C pawn. I think what happens, my guess is that white gets this in and black wins this, and then it's kind of complicated. Let's see the assessment. The assessment is takes here, as we figured. Yeah, rook d2. What about, I'd figure rook f2. Wait, what? Rook takes c2? Oh, and then they trade. They
And
force them-
then, yeah, the knight goes over to
then they
A3.
counter sacrifice. Okay. And then he comes
Mhm.
after this one. This is just an example. But like this
Right.
is like forcing moves. They get a queen and they promote to a bishop just to spite them. Rook takes back. You know, they take anyway. And then there's your h5 move, crumbling the black structure.
Mm.
That's why it's saying otherwise black would be significantly better. Like if this were the same position and black has a free move h5 in, see when now white crumbles and it says it's even, like, okay, let's give a free move, right? Like let's say white does, oh, I don't know, king f2, natural move. No, this is hanging, right? Okay, like whatever. Just, yeah, let's say king f2. You can take with tempo. No, you know, I like h5 first. See? It's the second best move it's saying. I like this move though. We play h5. We're gonna win this anyway, right? They go here. Oh, the only benefit for white though is that since h5 has been played, they can try to come in here and win the b pawn. But even then, you have like rook here. I think white, yeah, but see now it's giving white like a pawn advantage, black like a pawn advantage. Check, king here. Yeah, because well, it is a pawn up, right? The difference is that we have a clean extra pawn, but we don't give them the shattered structure, which would happen in this line that we're looking at. And then we have this move, and now it's problem. Oh, wait, there's this move. There's f4, knight moves. G5, maybe? It's kind of similar, actually. But I feel like the white can kind of probe over here, you know? Let's see. For example, I think a lot of people would probably try and take. Oh, wait, what? Oh, he has a fork.
Oh, yeah.
Wait. He has a fork. Oh, wait, what's going on here? So there's a check. Oh, and then he's gonna insert another check potentially. Let's see, check. Yeah, you can't go here because of check. And then this is gonna so king takes that falls. But what about, okay, how about if we go the other way? If we go here, you get taken with check. If you go here, you take with check. If you go here, he takes with check. So it's just tactically working. So you actually can't take c3. Okay, let's say we move out of the way from all this dangerous stuff. Then he gets c4 and attacks the knight. Okay, I still kind of like black here though. I mean, like you have a pass pawn, outside pass pawn. You have a squeeze in here. This pawn could fall. King's a little awkward. Like, I think I prefer black, like from a practical, but am I missing something? Let's say knight comes in. You have this annoying move though. Okay, let's say we go here. Oh, yikes. Check. Takes. Okay, he liquidates. And now black is far away from the king's
Oh
side.
no,
White's gonna eat the pawns.
he's gonna get there first. No.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Gobble, gobble.
Anyway, yeah. So, I don't know. I feel like I'm not. No, shit. I feel like I'm not really sure about oops. I'm not totally sure about
After that G pawn thing, I'm not maybe I don't think
about which one?
taking, maybe I know the computer probably would want you to take,
Like which one, sorry?
but when you were looking at it like way before, like when like you said you weren't happy about like the H move, and then you're saying like bypass it, play attack the knight and then the knight moves, and then you play G5.
Yeah, I guess you have to just take it and just
That's the
bite
only,
the bullet, and it's like equal maybe. Well,
I'm
the
not
point is
sure
white
though.
gets it crumbles black's king side.
Yeah.
Better to crumble your king side than fix it in place and lose your H pawn. Not
Mm,
that that has to happen, but you can see what happens though is the rook and knight are over there, kind of bothering black on the queen side. Meanwhile, they have hopes on the king side, so it's kind of like white just hangs in the balance. But you know, maybe I don't like her move queen c5. Maybe she just shouldn't do it because I think if you look at the assessment on the computer, it's easy to see that you're doing pretty well without doing that.
yeah.
That it favors you in the because like really if you think about it though, she had to make a move under pressure and time pressure. But if you think about it, like let's say you do this suggested move, where is white's attack? Black has all the central play.
Yep.
At the
All
very
the
least,
tiles.
maybe they figure white's going to beat them, but you put the burden on white here. Black still has the outside pass pawn, and now it's still looking at h5. Okay, fine, but then if we want to take it, we can open up the G file and use that to attack them. Just as they, funny enough, we have kind of like a corollary of it here. It's kind of the equivalent, right? Yeah, it's pretty much a mirror image, and this one almost in this one. So we can both look. But I think I still like black here. Computer's like, well, look at that. It says minus 0.3, but in other lines it likes black like a point up. So it depends what it depends. In other words, it's much easier to play for black because there are lots of lines that favor them. Okay. It's a lot to analyze. But maybe it kind of boils down, but at least we have queens on the board. I feel like black can try. It's just super messy. It's a super it's like I call it like a junkyard of pawns. It's like a real junkyard right there. Look at those pawns.
That's a good way to call it.
Yeah, just junk, right? Junk pawns.
Yeah. Junkyard pond.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So black is up 2 pawns, but it's not yet because it's such junk pawns. But then again, I mean, you know, if it works out, you know, if the lines work out well, then black can like get this pawn rolling. Hold on, not yet. I don't know. It's complicated. So she's like looking at all that. She's like, look, I'm low on time. No, maybe I don't love the move, but I think in hindsight, looking at it with the computer, it's easy to say that. And also she's in time pressure. So I think she probably made a good practical decision. And she's playing a GM. It's like, okay, I'll get a draw against the GM with a really cool game. But then again, anything could happen. Wait, let's find, okay, where's the live position now? And then I guess we'll wrap it up on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, so now white's taking some time. She's thinking, okay. Oh, black did all those moves though. They did the move we looked at, you know, they didn't take oh, they're forcing the issue though, so she has to trade, right? Because the pin, she's attacking it, you gotta take it. But yeah, she does, like we said, she doesn't take on c7. She could. Okay. So she just does this. Yeah, I thought she was gonna take and then go rook to 2, but I guess it's probably kind of moot. And then, yeah, remember we were looking at rook f2 to neutralize, but I mean, pretty much, I think white's the one who kind of needs to fight for a draw here. Because black has a lot of activity over here, and well, white needs to try to get the h5 in. Well, what if we don't let them play h5? Oh, that's when we play h5. There were 3 ideas.
Right.
Play
That's
h5.
right.
2 is you play h5 yourself. No, and 3, no, 1 is you let them play h5, you take. 2nd is you bypass, and 3rd is you play h5 yourself. All of which are uncomfortable, right? No, the best line for black is to play h5, fix the pawn in place, and then win white's h-pawn. That's what we want. We want to play h5. This is dream scenario, right? Where's your guy? Okay. Card? Okay. Where's your card? Oh, here. Oh, it's a little learning thing. Okay, here you go. Little learning card. Cool things. Brain quest. All right. So we have yeah, that's what I would like to do. I'd like to play h5, somehow get the rook on c4. Okay, here. Oh, this happened. Let's see a couple more moves. Okay, so she just moves her bishop away. Computer says that's fine. Yeah, because again, I would look at the computer more now because it's so tactical and like pure.
Yeah.
Like we're coming out of tactics, just like no, I don't know. Then it's gonna get strategic. Then it'll get kind of like long term again. But we still have some concrete things in terms of like hanging bishop, h-pawn issues. But I do think that if we can resolve that, what black will be. Okay. Black is going to do better if they can resolve the king side issue. Because then I think the c-pawn sort of falls. And also black has the rook on the 2nd rank. So it has to favor black a little bit, right? It's interesting. Okay, let's go back one more time. So I think those were the most interesting ones. And then we have, oh wow, this is really evolved. Oh no. No, that's the other game. That's the other game. That's the game where black was trying to get pressure. And here we go, an IM beating a GM. So it definitely did not work out for her. Let's see. So we have this scenario with, remember we were over here. We were right around here. Seems okay for black, like not ideal. But then she makes this move, which seems a little suspicious, doesn't it? I don't know why you're playing e5 when your queen is there. Oh, she's trying to get e5. She said, oh, you can't take me because I take on f1. So she's like, oh, I have time for e4, right? And she never did play e4, which she should have done. You see that?
Mhm.
She never did. And now she's just worse. And then the queen starts, and then her king, and there you go. And now you're
Oh,
seeing
no.
very uncomfortable, that naked king on e8, right?
Mhm.
Almost naked. Yeah, very exposed. Yeah, and now she's so, oh, and then we have queen attacks g2, she plays g4, and it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard now. I mean, I think it's still a game. Computer says +4, but I think, like, looking at this from a human perspective, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it's messy. I don't like it for black though anymore. I don't. I mean, that just shuts black down. And then meanwhile, white's striking it. White's just smashing the center where black's king is, right? Can't be good. Can't be good. So there's that game. So we're really seeing them evolve now. Oh, here we go. So she retreats. I want to see if she plays h5. Can she do h5 right now?
See.
Yeah, she can.
Yeah, she can do it now, and it's problematic. It's saying, yeah, okay. Oh, interesting. There's a line where you hang the knight on f4 and you take g6. Guys, don't do that. Don't rip those guys. Okay. So we have okay, this one's fascinating too. It became a really slow game, you know, it was like a really slow build-up, right? And then white does this stuff over here. I thought something dramatic was going to happen. And then I think some stuff got traded off. What got traded off? Not really. No, not really. It just kind of got quieter again. What's that?
She's pushing that knight over to h5, and what I was visualizing earlier, because you know, once she goes there, then she can go up to g3, and you got your queen, you know, hanging back there ready to go. So that was that I was looking at that earlier.
Oh, and f4. You have g3, and then we have I remember the line where you take f4 and play g5 to anchor the knight.
Yeah.
She didn't do that, it looks like. But yeah, you have the line. Oh, she didn't allow it, of course. Then we were looking at it somewhere. No, she should have done it. She missed her chance. She could have maybe beaten her. Remember, we were looking at this line. And then it was like, we looked at queen f2, and then we looked at g5. And then we gave them like a random move, such as, oh, what did we give them? Oh, they could take here, though. No, we gave them this move. We let them take, and then we go 95, and that's when we open up our defense.
Right.
And we said, hey, this is nice. But she failed to do that. I think it's because, you know what it is? She got a little afraid of the d6 pawn. So naturally, a lot of people will be afraid of losing their d pawn. So like you're talking about, Nikki, it's like, oh, I don't want to lose the pawn. So she's like, oh, I can do this. And then if you take me, I can open up, I get a pin on the knight, and it doesn't look so bad. The knight's hanging, it moves away, and we can do some stuff on the file. At least, no, there's nothing really to do. It's just neutralized. So I think, yeah, she missed her. So that's good to keep in mind. You know, you have a golden moment there. I think now that moment is passed, then she has to move her knight away to be able to move her rook, because knight b5 is coming. Oh, she counters it. Okay. Oh, it still says they're doing pretty well. I thought she was going to go rook d7, but she finds this move. So she's like, oh, you take me, I take you. Rook retreats, and the smoke kind of settles. And she takes. She could play d4 and blast it. Oh, that could be very dangerous.
Yeah, I was on the whatever you call that thing, the assessment, the analysis. It's saying black's really good here.
Yeah, it's saying, like, for example, let's say takes. You might even take the b pawn, and you don't want to like leave the strong center. So you take. I mean, that bishop's really nice on d4. A lot of dark. Again, we're really hitting those dark squares now.
Yeah.
Well, we've been hitting them, and now it's starting to come to fruition.
Bye, guys.
You gotta head out. Who's heading out?
Oh,
Lynn.
bye, Lynn.
See you,
It's nice
Lynn.
meeting
See you
you.
next weekend.
Good
Take care.
weekend. Bye-bye.
Yeah, we're pretty much at the end of it anyhow. I think we'll just kind of pause there around 2. But interestingly, yeah, the smoke is settled in those games, sort of. Well, we have, wait, are they almost winning a pawn? I don't know. I mean, so they should have played d4. So they took. They went here. Are they getting the pawn back? But no matter what, the structure is really not favorable for white. So for example, like the rook here. Now, can the bishop just take back? But this structure is not good. You know, this pawn is just a weakness, kind of a weak point. You know, it's just, it could be, yeah, you can play g3, but then g3 is a weak point. So it's kind of by extension, it's a weakness, you know? And if you play g3, you lose an h3 and you open your king more, right? So it's saying, yeah, I don't know, it's saying knight a7. But I think it just favors, the structure is nice for black though, overall. The only problem for black is the b pawn. You lose the b pawn, okay, things don't go too well. So you have to be careful.
Yeah.
So there's that one. And then I think, yeah, there we, and then this one, we followed the bishop pair. We were watching, we were rooting for the bishops, I guess.
Yeah.
And the bishops,
I think get a pawn, right?
wait,
Yeah.
are they winning with b5?
Wait, is that trapped?
Sort of. They have b4 check. What is going on? Well, they win the pawn. They're going to win the pawn in the game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because when they strike back with b4 check, I think they're kind of freeing the rook. What is going on? Wait, what if the king moves? What if the king just moves?
Yeah, what if the king
Oh,
does?
no, the rook takes because the
Oh,
bishop,
oh.
yeah, the rook takes because it's blocking the bishop. Yeah. So you have to take
Oh, and then he gets out.
with check. Now I assume I would be inclined to just take it. No. He needs to go on my shoulders. Okay.
King b6. What? What is it saying king b6 for?
Yeah. Oh, it's like you're still getting it. Oh, you know what it is? It's a sophisticated move. It doesn't really matter.
Oh,
Now,
to keep the rook from hitting all your
yeah,
pawns
because
there?
you know you're gonna. Jake, I'm doing class. Wait. Because you know you're gonna get this anyway. That's pretty sophisticated.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. Like it doesn't really. It's kind of move because look, even when they come here, you can then go bishop c3, and so it's not that big of a deal. They want to check. Fine, I'm going to d4. It doesn't like it as much. I don't know what's wrong with this. Why does it want bishop c6? I think I would do this honestly. Hopefully, I look at it more because it doesn't like it. But the point is, you're going to start pushing. Now, the only question is, how do we actually win?
Oh, rook takes g7. That's what it's saying.
Oh, duh. Okay, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, you got kids crawling on you, so it's understandable.
Let's see. And then let's say they want to go with this. Wait, what? And then, yeah, it really wants to retreat. It really kind of wants to retreat. It wants to retreat the king. So yeah. But yeah, the bishop pairs are winning. So you guys can just take a look
Yeah,
at that.
these are like fascinating to look at. So
Yeah, they're really good games.
chill and watch. Like, I think my coach is in here somewhere. I think she got crushed, unfortunately.
She's playing here.
Yeah. TERBE. She already played though, I think.
Oh, so
She's
she's on a lower board then.
yeah. Juliana Turb. TERBE. Where is she?
Oh, there she is.
Yeah, there she is. Yeah,
Okay.
unfortunately.
It's
her
not having a
phone-
grace tournament yet. That's great.
Yeah.
So we have that. We have this not going very well for black. I mean, they're gonna try and hang on, you know, but that's the thing. Again, from a human perspective, I'm like, okay, the queen's checking me. I'm doing stuff over here. And I'm losing. No, I'm doing stuff. Oh yeah, that knight f4 looks good. But like I'm doing stuff over here. You never know. I opened the file, like they might have a perpetual, like, you know, it's not 100% clear what's happening. And the queen guards ladder. Again, yeah, I wouldn't like make a full assessment. It would be hard to make like a full assessment that it's winning. And then going back to this one. So she ends up covering. But I think she's playing it like really, I think black played it really mildly, kind of timidly. And now she didn't get anything out of it. And now you're gonna see she's probably you know, maybe she knows Mizuchik is a very strong endgame player. So now Mizuchik is just sort of probably gonna take over, maybe win this game when she was in trouble. That's the thing, a really strong player will be able to escape from it's like she was never like fully losing, right? And so she made a few more accurate moves or even like a couple. Just maybe black made a couple inaccuracies. Like,
Yeah, you consider that like I do the aim chess and that they say it's like resourcefulness. So like when you're being
yeah,
resourceful, like is that like an example of that? Because I'm
yeah,
not 100%.
yeah. Like, well, it's also just that her opponent didn't really exploit too. Like, it's tricky, you know, it was tricky. But
Yeah.
like, either way, she was ready to fight back. But even if her opponent had an initiative, right? She's ready for
Right.
everything. So she takes, which is like, why are you doing that? Okay. Now, okay, now she defends. Okay, I'm being strangled right now. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. She's like, it's fine. I mean, I'm sure she's still fine. And again, like, even though the computer says plus 0.7, she still has, but like the thing is, she's not getting the C pawn. We already saw that wasn't very clear. Hey, I mean, look, she's avoiding some of the problems. No, I mean, I gotta say, like, despite the evaluation, like, okay, the main difference is that, well, white's playing for C4, C5, and the bishop's out and the rook's active. So it's like better, it seems like a better version for white. But then again, the better thing about for black is that H5 isn't really happening. Because then you take and your rooks are hitting, and we have a rook that stayed. No, in those lines, the rook went to F2. So she's playing for more winning chances by not trading rooks. That's the thing. That's what Anna did, right?
Right.
So she's keeping her rook in the end, but then at the same time, black has the rook aiming at G2. So you see how that's going, right? So it's tricky, you know, it's very tricky. Oh, and look, she might want to come back and take the pawn. Again, she would love that pawn. That's
Yeah.
if you win that pawn, now we're going to use our H pawn, ram it forward, and try to like trade off the pawn and the F pawn or something like that, and come through with our pawns. So it can get really dangerous. Anyway, yeah. So keep checking that one out. So the main moves we're looking at, the main games we're looking at that. The first game, we looked at that. The third game, oh wait, black's winning, yay! Wait, what happened?
The compact Sicilian, yay.
It ended up paying off. Wait, okay. So she takes, she finds this move. So basically she has to take B7. No, she could have taken B4. So she takes B7. Why is it so good? Takes B5. Okay, wait, everything's hanging now. So she finally collapses C3. Everything's hanging, yeah. And then F4 is weak, C3 is hanging. Maybe she can go bishop takes and take B4. No, when she takes C3, B4 is probably gonna fall. She might be winning a couple pawns. Wow. It really took a turn for the worse here.
Yeah.
So what did she do wrong? We just looked at this position. So okay, that's fine, I guess. But then she responds, she does the wrong way. So she should take this way. I mean, I still like black here, but it's not decisive yet. It's kind of like the other game where we liked Corey's game, but it wasn't decisive, and Bezucha came back. This is decisive. This is becoming decisive because things are collapsed. Oh, she does this, and now she's going to collapse. Now C3 collapses. Wow.
Yikes.
Anything else we were looking at? Oh, and then there's this game. And what does she do? Is she going to find King B6? I mean, I think bishop takes is good enough, but no, King B6 is pretty direct because it's like, you know, you're gonna get the pawn anyway, and your bishop covers say, hey, no rook invasions. But then again, like there's an inclination to be like, look, I know I have bishop C3. I want my king to go forward. Hard to say. But anyway, yeah, she has a huge advantage now. She's getting the pawn back, so she's got 3 for 4. So technically even material now, not even down a pawn for rather than 2 pawns and a rook for the 2 pieces, just a rook and a pawn for the 2 pieces or equal material. But of course, we like the bishop pair. I should win. Cool.
Yeah,
Well,
very cool.
keep taking a look at those ones.
Okay. Take care, Matt, John, David. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You too, guys.
appreciate
Thanks
all your
again.
time.
Yeah,
I
my
see you
pleasure.
next week.
Nice comments, guys. Yep. See you guys. Enjoy the rest of
Take
your
care.
weekend.
Have a good
Bye.
week.
Yeah.